What's up, everybody? Kellen Nitro for Nitromaniac TV's wrestling channel, and joining me again, as always, on the other end of the line, it's Moorhouse. How's it going today, my friend?
It's going. It's going. Living it up in YEG.
Living it up in the egg. Gotcha. So, it is WrestleMania season, and this is kind of the first in a series of videos you'll see on the channel here in the upcoming weeks of us kind of breaking down what we've liked and what we haven't liked about the build to WrestleMania so far. And I think the first one, because we've been so emphatic about this on social media, and I know you, Moorhouse, have really been just upset about this and that stuff, was at the time we record this, it would be this past Monday, but it would be, you know, as you're watching this down the line, closer to Mania, 2-3 weeks out. They announced on Monday Night Raw, about middle of March-ish in 2018, the Women's Battle Royal to kind of, you know, play off of the gender equality thing and stuff like that WWE has been doing with the Men's Battle Royal, with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal that happens every year. And, man, just the backlash of the name that was involved on the women's side, the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royal. First of all, not a real good choice. Not a real good choice for that Battle Royal. And in the past, I'll let you elaborate, Moorhouse, first, and then I can probably build off of, because you were the more vocal of the two of us on social media with your anger and disdain about this. So
I was a little triggered at the time, absolutely.
Hashtag triggered.
So Fabulous Moolah, I will admit she is a big, important role in women's wrestling. Mm-hmm. However, looking back, once things got peeled over, she actually was a negative against women's wrestling. She held the WWF women's title for 35 to 172 years.
Yeah, I think that reign just ended last year.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't
know. The way she worked it, she would only work with her students. She preferred not to work with anyone else who independently trained. She pretty much ran the women's industry. They would all have to go through her. She would carry their purses. She'd pay them after she gets paid. And if you didn't agree with it, she was happy to definitely push you away from the business, any means necessary. She had, reading about it, she had a few friends, like 3 or 4 close friends that she always made sure that went over. As well, if she couldn't get you booked, she can definitely get you booked in a promoter's bedroom.
Not even a promoter's bedroom. From what I've heard in the past, like stories of, you know, fans, you know, other wrestlers, etc. Like, she was just not a good human being at all.
No,
and of course, she passed away in the early part of the 2000s, I think. And
07, yeah.
07, yeah. Okay, so later end of the first decade of the 2000s. But for whatever reason, WWE still holds her in high like, she's up there, like, she's like the female Hogan or the female San Martino or something like that. And you know, they completely gloss over the freaking accomplishments of other women of that era. You know, most of the women of that era that have great of accomplishments, if not better, you know, are first probably better talents than Moolah was, and then second of all, you know, definitely more personable type people. I mean, they named the tournament on the network last year after Mae Young. Mae Young, classy lady, awesome individual. You know, and just a all-around great human being to be around by all accounts of people who are around her and that stuff. You know.
No, absolutely. Mae Young is one of Moolah's friends, but she was not afraid to let herself be booked as a comedy character or, you know, humiliator just for the pushing entertainment, where Moolah has to look strong all the time. But yeah, you mentioned other women. Mildred Burke, they did all honor last year with just a throwaway Hall of Fame induction because they're doing the legacy ones now.
Yeah, those ones I'm not even sure if those are even full Hall of Fame inductions or not yet. Those are still kind of suspect. I tried in Orlando last year to talk to a few people about that, and the consensus is that no, what Cauliflower Alley and a few other places do are more legit and more recognized by outside, sources and news sources and that stuff as legit Hall of Fames. Whereas the WWE Hall of Fame is kind of, we'll get into that in a later video what it actually is, but it's more, it's not as WWE is not pro wrestling. The WWE Hall of Fame is not a wrestling Hall of Fame, even though there's wrestling in it.
No, because you have Drew Carey, Mr. T, and Coco Beware and Hall of Fame.
Right. It's a sports entertainment Hall of Fame, which is it's just the terminology and everything is just really
For hockey fans, the equivalent of Coco Beware in the Hall of Fame is probably like putting Steve Stais in the Hall of Fame. The WWF Hall of Fame means nothing. It's just who Vince prefers. Yeah. But on the topic of Moolah, I mean, other than Mildred Burke, who, is just a throwaway Hall of Fame inductee, you have, Sensational Sherry, you have Miss Elizabeth.
Yes.
Who could have been named after. Those women carried the early days of the Wrestlemania.
Yeah, no, that's the big thing about it, Moorhouse, is just the amount of great female performers that have sacrificed so much for WWE in the past that should have their name up there, and that might be a segue into the next topic that we'll talk about in this video. But just to close this one off, is just that name list is just long, and there are I don't want to say 100, but maybe several that are. I just saw the cup. Oh my god. Sorry. All right, folks. That came out of nowhere. That cup will be a collector's edition some way. I don't know if that's going to increase in value as the days go on or decrease. But anyway. Wow.
What you talking about?
Jeez. I popped hard for that. Hashtag too soon. Anyway, this is it just, I guess now we can take a look at it and say, all right, so they've removed Moolah's name from the Battle Royal, which is great. The way that they did it this week was kind of Stephanie McMahon coming out publicly on Twitter and saying pretty much, we value the opinion of our fans, yada, yada, yada. The same corporate type answer that any professional sports franchise would give had one of their quote unquote extinguished or not extinguished but honored members of their franchise, I guess, would be implicated under something that was illegal or just not becoming a franchise at all. Like, for example, they found out, if we're using a hockey example, they find out that Wayne Gretzky was involved in a steroid ring in the 80s or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And they come forward and they have to remove, for whatever reason, they've got to remove Gretzky's banner from the rafters here in Edmonton or something like that. That would be, the way to go. Same kind of, you'd expect that type of tweet or message, I guess. It was very cookie cutter. It wasn't very,
And I don't think it was the petition, because there was a successful petition. I think it was the sponsorship threatening action.
Right.
I heard Snickers, the headliner sponsor, was not happy with the negative publicity this is getting.
Yeah, there was a very strong rumor that they may have they were looking at pulling out of this year's Mania, and in the Mania agreement, which I believe is a multi-year, 5-year agreement that they have with WWE for title sponsor for WrestleMania with the Snickers brand. And that's a lot of money. That Snickers is one of the most recognizable brand names across the world, because no matter where you are on planet Earth, you can walk into any convenience store and get a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
Maybe not in Antarctica yet, but they're probably faking on getting down there soon. But
losing sponsorship for Snickers would be horrific financially for them, and also the Bounty Bar Wrestlemania just doesn't have the same name to it.
I could see them breaking a deal with like Dollarama, if that happened.
Dollarama Rumble.
Yeah, well, those knockoff brands Dollarama has, right? Where instead of Mars, there's like planets or whatever they were. on an old YouTube channel a long, long time ago, far, far away, I reviewed a bunch of them. And it's amazing how long or how many knockoff brands of chocolate there are. Just per se. But anyways, looping back, if Moolah's name, and I put this question out there on Twitter and I got a few responses about it, and I'll just pull a couple of them up here so you can take a look at, or we can take a look at them and discuss. The question was, if Moolah's name is removed from the Battle Royal, at the recording of this, obviously her name's been removed from the Battle Royal, whose name would you like to see up on the Battle Royal? And got a private message from Barry, who says that there's only one name that should be up there in Moolah's place and that stuff, and it is not... It's not debatable in his mind. He says it's Wendy Richter. Bottom line. Wendy Richter is a Hall of Famer, by the way, with the WWE. I think she went in, I want to say 2013. I could be wrong. 2012, 2013?
Around that, yeah.
Gosh. Because I remember they did the whole thing. It was kind of a more modern Raw in HD with Piper and Lauper and Wendy Richter. I think Heath Slater was involved.
She is a 2010 inductee.
Okay, 2010. So it might have not been Heath Slater.
She did an angle with Heath Slater a couple years later.
Yeah, a couple years later. All right, good. Yeah. So I would like to see that go maybe one step further. Maybe you honor Cyndi Lauper as well with the name and call it the Richter Lauper Women's Battle Royal.
Who's not in the Hall of Fame yet, surprisingly.
And I think that would be a celebrity induction that most of the WWE universe would be okay with, if not ecstatic over.
Bada da bada bang da bang. Yep.
That's... You threw me for a loop again with the Kid Rock. Anyway, so that was one name. I got a couple here for Sensational Sherry. I've got one for
so Miss Elizabeth, I think.
Yeah. There was, I saw Miss Elizabeth. Alundra Blaze is also getting a lot of mention as well. But Mark says he'd love to see Alundra go in as Medusa, not as Alundra Blaze. But she's under the Hall of Fame as Alundra Blaze, which is her WWE gimmick. So
the unfortunate thing with Alundra Blaze is she didn't have a long career in WWF, and there was no competition at the time.
No, they were usually booking in heels from Japan to wrestle her. From, was it All Japan Women's or was it something else? I think it was between the two of them.
Yeah, it was between that. They booked in Bertha Faye and Bull Nakano.
Yeah. I think that was probably her most legendary feud was with Bull Nakano, because she did the SummerSlam match in '94 against Bull, and then when she jumped over to WCW, they had that class. I think it was a trilogy of matches over a year and a half or so between Nitro. I know the final one was like a Great American Bash. I want to say '97. And then there was one more somewhere in the middle there. I'm sure somebody's watching can comment below what it was. But those matches were as good as anybody on the men's side were producing in WCW, with the exception of the Cruiserweights at the time. The Cruiserweights were kind of on their own level there at that point because they were trying to establish themselves. But, that's one of the most underrated things about watching WCW from the 96-97 era. the NWO angle is so overpowering that you can get distracted by it. But the undercard with the mixture of the cruiserweight stuff and then whatever Medusa was doing.
You got that. You have the Japanese all the Japanese Gaijin wrestlers.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That were it was the New Japan partnership that WCW had at the time there. So, in closing, I think it's a great thing that the Fabulous Moolah's name has been removed from the Battle Royal. I can't find any argument for her. There are hundreds of arguments against her online. You can just pretty much Google and you can find out all the terrible stuff that she's done in the past. The old bat is dead. Let the corpse rot, as far as I'm concerned. Wow. Let's give the naming rights maybe next year. You can go forward and call it the Women's Battle Royal for this year for New Orleans. Next year in New York, New Jersey, you can try to rename it something under somebody who's more deserving, and that will be the debate: is who's the person that's going to be deserving enough for that spot in WrestleMania. That's kind of the Andre the Giant-esque size of an equivalent, I guess, in the stumbling trying to figure out what I was going to say, but as the female equivalent of Andre the Giant in notoriety and career in WWE and that stuff. And I think if you're going to hold it at WrestleMania, I'm one for getting Lauper and Richter in there, because they were the winning side in WrestleMania 1. Without Cyndi Lauper's involvement and David Wolf, I don't think you get Mr. T for WrestleMania 1. I think that you get, maybe you're looking at a Piper Hogan singles match, what we eventually saw with War to Settle the Score, but, does it have that same pop and same, circumstance and situation that WWE went through in '85? It's such a landmark moment that changed the industry forever, right? So.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Hulk. We couldn't get Mr. T for you, but we did get one of your Rocky co-stars. Here's Burt Young. Paulie, he's your tag team partner.
Paulie and a robot. was the robot invented yet at that point? I might be jumping
No,
the time.
it was one more movie.
Oh, my God. Oh. Yeah, Dolph Lundgren was in Rocky 3, so maybe we could have had...
Four.
Or was that 4? Oh,
yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm getting my space-time continuum mixed up, too, now. Oh, man. Okay, so, yeah, who would you get otherwise out of there? I guess it would be Burt Young. That's it.
Burt Young.
The promo battles between Burt Young and Roddy Piper. Could you imagine? Leading into WrestleMania that year.
Paulie did have charisma.
For Moorhouse, who's on the other end of the Skype line, and... for myself, Kellen Nitro, thank you for watching Nitromaniac TV. If you got comments and questions, if you want to add to this discussion, I should say, leave them below or tweet us at the Moorhouse CDN or at Kellen Nitro, and we'll see you next time on Nitromaniac TV. Later days, happy wrestling watching, and yeah, don't boo. Here's one thing to leave off with: don't boo the girls in the Battle Royal for being in the Battle Royal. I saw a fan post that was getting some steam on Twitter that, during WrestleMania, people who are there live should boo the women in the Battle Royal because they're in the Battle Royal that's was associated with Moolah, but even though they pulled the name, we're going to still boo them. Don't do that. That's sour grapes. Sour grapes!
I go to concerts all the time and I just boo the band.
They didn't play that one song I like, so boo. Yeah, but they don't play that song. That's another band. I don't care. Boo.
Paul McCartney, you suck.
But this is a Nickelback concert. Don't
Shut
care.
up, George.
All right, folks. See ya.